Have you ever experienced feeling lost, stuck, powerless? A random day with all these feelings after few days or weeks of progress, growth, you don't know what's going on and you feel discouraged. It's very easy to feel discouraged and feel like you are starting again from square one. It is so frustrating. I get you. But this happens to everyone. We have this illusion that progress is linear, but it is not. We are not machines, we are humans and we are cyclical, So why we feel discouraged? Actually, this last Wednesday, I felt like that. I've been feeling for the last couple of weeks, I would say last month, feeling really powerful, confident, motivated. I did my first tech talk. I also felt really creative, also really good with my relationships, friends. And suddenly this Wednesday, I was feeling like totally the opposite. I was feeling powerless, I was feeling like lost, like if existentially thinking I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I am doing the right things in my life, should I be doing different things? So that day I definitely felt discouraged, I definitely felt stuck, I definitely felt like, oh my god, maybe I'm going backwards now. I want to make you aware that we all go through this. But in that moment, why we really believe that we are going backwards? So actually there are several reasons why we feel stuck. First of all, we are conditioned to think that progress is linear, like a straight line. It makes us feel safe, that it's gonna be like one step up to another step, but it's never like this. We are cycles, we are like nature, we are like waves, like the seasons. We are not doubting whether a tree is growing during winter. It's just strengthening its roots and we are not doubting that it is not growing. It's different seasons, you need to see which season you are in. Also sometimes we need to come back to the same knowledge to learn it and rewire it in our brains all over again. We are not starting from scratch. That's the illusion. We are not starting from scratch. We are coming back to the previous lesson, but with a higher awareness to kind of address it in a deeper level. Another example could be the waves. They go up and they need to pull back to gain energy to create a higher or bigger or more like upwards wave, The tide is maybe going upwards, but the waves, they need to pull back to actually rejuvenate and regain energy to create a new cycle. So when we are resting, for example, at night, or when we are in our winter season, we are not stuck, we are not being unproductive, we are not going backwards, we are just restoring our energy levels for another cycle. We cannot function just going up, up, up. If we improve certain beliefs or change certain thought patterns, life is gonna give us another opportunity to address them or to assess if we are already like a master in this new skill. So they are gonna come back again. The same situation or very similar situation for us to get checked if we pass that exam or pass that test. And we are gonna approach them with a higher awareness. And the moment that we go down to restore energy because we've been breaking all these patterns is a moment like to integrate this new learning, to integrate these new skills for when the next new level, because we are always trying to go upwards, the next new level happens, we can tackle it more efficiently. It's everything is like that. It's when you are training, rest is important for the muscle to actually grow and restore themselves. You are not just training every day. It wouldn't make any sense. The rest is necessary. So the moments that you feel stuck, you feel down, you feel discouraged, that you're not doing any growth or you are not improving, you are going backwards, maybe the moments in which you are restoring the energy to go to the next level, or when you're storing this and storing all this new knowledge, skills that you have, because you need to integrate these ones to even grow bigger. We also have like thinking Our thinking is either black or white, either failure, perfection, when perfection, or the term of perfection is an illusion. There is no perfection, everything is imperfect, everything. So we either fail or we are perfect. So we don't have gray areas. Also, a lot of people suffer a lot because they attach their identity to their emotions and thoughts. So whenever you have a specific emotion or a specific thought that is hard to deal with, you identify with that and you forget about the rest of the previous days, previous weeks, previous months that they were going fine. You just get so stuck and so defined by this thought or these emotions that you're having. It might be on Wednesday. If I were to identify myself with what was happening, I was feeling sad for a while, but I didn't identify myself with these thoughts and emotions. And the last I would say is the instant rewards or instant gratification. We're not very used to what a long process is. We're very used to input-output, very like instant or very automatic. So going with the ebbs and the flows, we are not very used to that. So whenever we feel like we are growing, we quickly jump to conclusions, because how can it be otherwise? We are so used to like getting feedback, so used to all these things. So that's another important one, probably more tailored to nowadays society, but it's a really important one as well. Yeah, as I was saying, I didn't identify myself with the emotions and thoughts that I felt last Wednesday, and this is the key point: feeling them, allowing them to be, acknowledge that they are there, but don't get defined by them. And also, that's what the reframe is about. Also, zoom out of the situation. When you are in these situations, don't attach yourself to emotions and thoughts, but also reframe them, like zoom out, reframe that situation, zoom out of the situation. Think about, okay, that day or this day is not going well. Definitely existential crisis kind of thing. And sometimes there are variables that you may think, okay, I haven't slept very well, or maybe hormonal variables, or maybe anything situational that may happen, like an argument with someone or anything. But sometimes there are things and variables you cannot predict as well. You cannot tell what happened and suddenly you had a bad day like this. Zoom out and think for yourself, how was I a week ago? How was I a month ago? How was I 3 months ago? How was I a year ago? It doesn't make any sense to define yourself by one emotion or a couple of emotions, wherever they are, or few thoughts on a specific moment in time. You are not at a specific moment in time. If you were confident for like the previous month, or let's put the previous week, why are you now today having an existential crisis and define yourself as you are lost and stuck and completely powerless? No. You are a person or a human who is going through a bad day today, specifically having some lost, stuck, whatever feelings, but the tendency or the process overall to have a more accurate judgment of how you're doing, it's much better. I mean, you need to go and think of this bigger picture. If there is progress, in the overall progress, not in the details, zoom out in the bigger picture, you can assess much better how you are doing. Imagine you are going through, I don't know, it happened to me in the past. I was going through even this TEDx application. At the beginning, nervous to apply. There are different phases as well. And then you get notified, you pass the next phase, you get selected, then you need to write a script, practices, have your speaker assistants, and at the end of the process, when I got selected and wrote the script and everything, one day I was feeling very nervous. Suddenly, because my rehearsal, I didn't expect it to go a little like so, and I came home thinking, I'm not gonna be able to do it. But then I thought to myself, zoom out, Monse, zoom out. Because a month ago you were struggling to write the script and you were thinking it was the worst moment, and it wasn't. The script was pretty much nailed. It was, powerful speech in the end. And then I zoom out even like further, like 6 months before, when I was even thinking, should I apply? They are gonna even consider me? Whatever. So if you zoom out enough, you'll realize that what you're going through, that specific day of nervousness, is just that moment. But you've accomplished or you've grown in so many different ways that you can create much more self-belief that you can pass this wave as well. You can overcome this new wave, this new level of obstacle or setback, because that moment or this moment doesn't define you, whether it is up or down. It's the overall bigger picture of your life. And that's what's really interesting, what people are missing when we are talking about zooming out and how to reframe these moments of desperation, of feeling stuck and feeling lost. How we can reframe them, as I said, like, how were you an hour ago if this suddenly appeared? How were you a week ago, a month ago, a year ago? Were you having the same feelings? You cannot judge a book by its cover, and you cannot judge your whole life or your whole identity or personality or your skills by just one day. It just doesn't make any sense. So people are missing from inner work. People are missing that the key point in here is deep self-awareness, to actually identify which beliefs, kind of belief patterns you have. Patterns in thinking, black or white, maybe core beliefs like perfectionism, like I need the process or progress to be perfectly linear, if not I'm feeling sad. Also like detachment from these thoughts and emotions, and questioning whether it is true that you are completely lost in your life and not put together, or it's just one day. Just, you don't need to believe everything you think and feel, you know? So you need to be kind of curious about these things. Obviously feel them, allow them to be there, but then bounce back and manage yourself. Like, don't get defined by them. So for example, that Wednesday, I let myself had a little nap because I was quite overwhelmed, and then I put myself together and went to have dinner with one friend and talk about all the different things. Then I went to sleep earlier because probably I needed some rest. Being aware that the previous day I didn't get to sleep very well, so it could have affected that as well, of course. But that little self-awareness of maybe not sleeping that well, maybe also, okay, I'm going with my friend, maybe that will help. This management of myself. This is what people are missing, because you can bounce back with this resilient attitude. While you're doing this, keep believing, keep having this self-belief that you will overcome it, whatever it is, because it's given to you right now, this moment of sadness, and have the self-belief that somehow or some way or another you are gonna overcome this. That's really important, because people miss a lot this self-belief, probably because they don't have like evidence enough. But if you zoom out, as I said, a lot, maybe a month, a year, whatever, you'll find evidences. In those moments, maybe you don't see anything manifesting physically, but internally, you're growing. Internally, you keep growing. And the change or the shift is in how you manage these days. Maybe that day, me on Wednesday, thinking to myself, okay, I'll sleep earlier today and I'm gonna go dress nicely and go to see my friends and talk about all the things. Maybe that decision, instead of cancelling that plan because I was overwhelmed or whatever, going there and just talking about other stuff, maybe that's the key. And that's when you see you've grown. Okay, you may be having a very sad life because all your days are sad. But if you're sad one day and then the next 7 days you're confident, happy, content, neutral, you are not having a sad life, you know? So you need to be more accurate in judging yourself and putting labels, because these labels grow grow internally, and they limit you and they'll define you. So if today feels like a setback, so breathe, zoom out and ask yourself, how was I a week ago regarding this topic? How was I 3 months ago regarding this specific challenge? How was I a year ago? I am managing things differently in any way, any particular way? Just zoom out, reframe these moments. Don't get identified by them. And remember, these moments are like tests. And you are not starting over or starting from scratch. You are starting from experience.